That one's on. This one is a little trickier. I'm not quite sure where to put it to capture all three of you.
Up high?
As long as those two are captured, that is fine. Yeah, I get the birthday girl.
Wow, does this mean we have to sing you happy birthday?
No.
There seems to be some differences of opinion on what we're supposed to do.
That's alright.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, that one's on. That one's on. This is... I think I can get close to all three of you. All right, we are now on Facebook Live. Thank you, sir. And I feel like I owe you an apology, Billy. Several months ago, I failed. You asked if there were any students who'd be interested in, was it working at the base or something, working on a project? And I couldn't get any students, and UD was like very much against some of those things. I knew that was going to be a messy transition. But I never reached out to close the loop with you, and I kind of felt bad about that.
You're fine. Yeah.
Well, no, I don't know about that, but it was just simply a quick message. There really isn't any students who would either fit the profile or would be interested. Especially UD was basically kind of taking a big step back of bringing students into any kind of activity outside campus. But as that may have been, there was also the serious confusion that UD had about students wanting to be on campus was not the same thing as wanting to be in the classroom.
Yeah.
I lectured to a lot of empty classrooms with all my students on Zoom.
Yeah.
That was very unpleasant.
It is just a weird time in general.
Yeah, wasn't it? But you know, if I were the students and I got up late and I had like a 9 or 10 a.m. class, I'm not so sure how excited I would be. So I feel like I'm being a little unkind towards the students.
I definitely took some leisure with getting up when I was working remotely.
Well, I taught a lot of classes dressed kind of the way I am now. And a couple of times I went to a meeting just because I could. It's like, I'm just gonna wear like swimming trunks, tie and the whole 9 yards, and then swimming trunks. And Tracy came downstairs because my work area and my music space is downstairs in the basement, and the laundry room is down there. There's a bathroom down there and stuff like that. But she came down and she took one look, and she's like, "You probably should mute." And so I muted, and she just burst into laughter, like really hard. So clearly now it's become a thing. So a couple times she comes downstairs, and I'll turn around. I'm wearing like snorkeling, or she came down one time. I forget what it was. What did I do? I think I had a turban on. Another time she came down and I had like Elvis pants on. But so now I think I did 7 or 8 things that were just weird, so that she would come down the stairs, and I'm out of ideas.
Diaper? I don't know.
What was that?
A diaper?
Oh, was it? That might be just be a little too far for me. A little too far. Thanks for sending the album, by the way. I like it a lot. I like it a lot. Cindy will come in and we'll talk for a very long time.
Okay.
Mics are hot.
Do we wear the headphones?
Neo-American Pioneers here on your Tuesday afternoon alternative. Thank you so much for spending time with us. And many thanks to the legend Don Thrasher for coming in and chatting with us about Smug Brothers. We will have links on our website and our blog for everything we talked about. So please, please, please make plans now. Other things you should make plans to do. Our good friends in Neo-American Pioneers have a brand new album, Into the Deep, that comes out this weekend. July 17th, this Saturday, they are playing live at the Yellow Cab Tavern as a release. Seth Gilliam and the Fake News and California Howdy are also playing to celebrate the release of this record. And I am furthermore so excited. I have 3 members of Neo-American Pioneers here in the studio. We've got our good friend Billy, our good friend Heather, and is this weird that I keep calling you all good friends?
Nope.
I feel like I should mix it up. My good friend, my sort. No, I'm just kidding. Dan Spaugy here, Heather Redman, Billy Swayne in the studio. Neo-American Pioneers, or at least a fair percentage of the band.
50%. Barely half.
So I feel like I should hold on to that. I think the last time you guys were here, it's like, what, 5 of the 6?
Yeah, actually.
Yeah, because
And
Paul
everyone's
was
been
here, Danny was here. So we were real close to a full band.
Yeah.
We were really close. But enough of my shenanigans. You guys have a great new record, Into the Deep. Releases this weekend. Strangely, weird coincidence, you also have a show on that same night. It's almost as if you had planned it.
Well, believe it or not, that may have not been the case if this was last year. So we're happy to be releasing this thing this weekend and playing a show to an audience. We're actually going to do it indoors because we want that rock and roll feel, where the stage is close and the sound is rocking out the Yellow Cab. So I think that would be nice to have an inside show. I mean, I can't even remember the last time I was at an inside show. Maybe you guys have been in one more recently. Oh, that's right. This weekend, yeah, this last weekend.
Seeing the Heather Redman band, who, by the way, were incredible. That I was blown away by that. I even got some cool pictures with my phone, and usually my phone I'm not the published photographer in the family, right? That's Mrs. Dr. J. But I got some really interesting shots that I'll have to send to Heather. But that was honestly our first indoor show since the pandemic started.
Yeah, that was fun. It was weird, but it was fun.
Can I get you on the a little closer to the?
Sorry.
Oh, no worries, no worries.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. It was a fun show.
Yes, it was.
I'm trying to think of when our last show was. It was last year.
And we played outside at
It was,
the Yellow Cab.
Yeah, that was our.
I think
our
September
last
was the
year.
fall, September maybe. Or
So this will be nice for us getting back on
The
the
last
horse.
indoor show was Sound Valley Fest at the Brightside.
Oh wow.
yeah, right before it
March.
hit.
Yeah.
2
Oh
weeks
wow.
before lockdown, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was cutting it close.
Yeah.
and I feel like that joke is borderline inappropriate, so I want to apologize to anybody out there. But clearly I'm not apologizing to you. I'm teasing. I'm apologizing to everybody. But could you talk us through making the record? The record's been done for a while, right?
Yeah. So
Over a year.
yeah, over a year. I almost feel like it kind of coincided. There's like a picture in my phone of like me, like waving to Patrick, signifying the end of the recording, and that was, I believe, like March of 2019.
Wow.
And so we did a couple of even remote mixes, because at that point I think there were 2 songs that weren't mixed yet, and so we kind of did a remote thing with Patrick because everyone was trying to keep their distance and everything. And then we were debating on what to do with this, and it just didn't feel right, kind of putting it out online. And I'm not saying I'm anti-Zoom, but like I had to do work Zoom all the time, and I was so burnt out from Zoom. I just, I didn't want to live that way and have this thing, come out that way. So we kind of just
We put a lot of work into it.
shelved
A lot
it.
of time.
Yeah, and we kind of had been recording it even since the end of the last record. So in 2018, Beginning and Fold came out, and we went into the studio shortly after that and actually recorded Fever and Into the Deep, which were 2 of the first songs. And those songs had even been mixed for a while. So some of these songs have kind of been done for a long time, like too long. Even to the point where we kind of held back on playing some of the later songs on the record, playing live, just so that they would feel fresh again when we play them. So one of Heather's songs is on there, Heart Like Mine, and we've never played that out. The final track from the record, Round and Round, we've never played that out. I think we used to play Into the Deep Out, but then something happened and we forgot how to play it. And so now
I'm not sure we ever played Wandering Eye either.
and we never played Wandering Eye, yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. So you forgot how to play it just because you hadn't come to it in so long.
Yeah,
Right?
It just wasn't on the list for rehearsal.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's kind of more orchestrated too. Maybe it was
Right.
maybe it was more challenging for us.
Oh, to
That might-
recapture that
that might-
same sound live.
Yeah, because we actually with that song we went into the studio and we did it to a click track, and we went. Normally we do analog, but we recorded that digitally because when we went in there we weren't exactly finished with it, so we kind of went in, recorded the bass stuff, and then kind of added stuff as we went along, and that actually happened to a couple of the tracks. Like Heart Like Mine kind of came to life in the studio. Round and Round definitely came to life in the studio. I mean, that was something that me and Dan had kicked around at his place and laid down this framework for. And then, we went in there and recorded it and wasn't really ready, and it just kind of like came to life in the studio, which is an interesting way to kind of write songs and stuff, but it's also a more expensive way to write songs. So, but you kind of capture something that you wouldn't elsewhere. People haven't really heard this song, but there's a lot of trickery in it to where we did it analog and the tape speed was slowed down. So the drums are played in double time and the guitars played in double time. And then when you speed it back up to normal speed, it has this real drone sound. I think that kind of came about it was this kind of sad song, and I think I posed the question to Patrick. I was like, well, what would the saddest song sound like in outer space? And then I almost feel like that's kind of how that came to life. Is these weird like space drone guitars and everything.
It got weird.
And of course, he had the means to make that happen.
Well, Patrick is the wizard. Can we at least acknowledge that? His ability to capture sound is impressive, to say the least. At least everything I've heard, it's like, wait, what did he do there? I teach a class on popular music, and there are tricks or things. Not everything is a trick, but right, there are techniques that he uses. Like, I have no clue how he modulated that. Right? I kind of would like to know. And I feel like my questions, if I ever get him in, we talk about getting him in here. My questions are gonna be really weird.
Yeah.
So the
Specific.
digital loop on that, right? What speed is that? Or and so clearly maybe that's more like, let's go hang out and talk for a while, as opposed to, would probably make for rather dry radio.
You got to keep your listeners, right?
Yeah, wait, come back. I can see 3 or 4 people are like, oh, I'm not already. What do you mean delay? Okay, okay, there are many, shutting up now. But he's very gifted at capturing things. You're going to say something, Dan?
Oh yeah, you would have all the nerds nerding out on that though, a select group.
Well, it's sort of like when I have guitar players talk to my students, and they all start talking about the guitar tech and the particular pedals and why this pedal is slightly better than another pedal. And even I have to admit to a little bit of glazing over in the eyes. Like, okay, yeah, I get that the signal will go faster through there, but I don't know what that does to the tone. And Dan and Billy are probably saying, well, actually, we can explain that to you, Art.
Dan is definitely the gear guy. He's got quite a collection of guitars and is always experimenting with different tones, which is good. I'm kind of a one guitar guy. I think I've had the same guitar for years and years, the same amp and stuff like that. But I feel like if I didn't sing and play guitar, I probably would focus on that stuff more. It's just probably anyone that sings and plays, there's a lot of work that goes into it. There's a couple guys like Seth Gilliam is an incredible singer, songwriter, and player all at the same time. And Seth Cannon, like if your name's Seth, then you're probably pretty good at guitar.
There does seem to be something about it. I'm sorry, that's hilarious. There does seem to be some support for that, at least here in Dayton. There's some support for that,
right.
Billy.
It's the Seth factor. Is that?
I love it. I love that. We should talk about some of the songs, like the young guys do. right? That it's almost like, for me, like Sometimes You Can't, which is a favorite of mine, as you're probably all painfully familiar with. There are other songs on the record, Guy, it has that turnaround later in the song, and you're getting those vocal harmonies and things like that. I'm really curious how that song came together.
So, how did that song come together? So this song started out as an idea I had a long time ago as I was getting older, you know what I mean? So like the lyrical content of this song is kind of about getting older, but still kind of like feeling like you're not dead yet, you know, like you still got some juice in you, and there's so much youth culture and everything like that, and so it was kind of almost like a social commentary on that. And I struggled because I had that second verse where it was kind of like this cocky kind of, come on, you know, I hit the scene, I was cut, I was lean, I was recognized, and I could never come up with anything else to that. I was actually in St. Kitts and Nevis in the Caribbean, like just like laying in bed, and for some reason, like the beginning, all the girls and the guys hear the call of the wild, and it just came from that. And then when I brought it back and we started playing it, you know, there was this opportunity to make this song almost like a band introductory thing. So when a little breakdown happens, it's like everyone has their own little piece that kind of comes in and it builds. And I felt like on the first record, sometimes we pushed through the songs real fast, and we didn't give as much time to kind of work on dynamics and stuff like that. So this was like an approach to do something a little bit more thought out and developed, and everyone kind of add their little piece. And even the studio, like, I don't know how many vocals Heather layered on that breakdown part. I mean,
Oh, there's got to be a lot.
There's at least 4 on there.
I think it's 4.
Like, all right.
Quadruple track.
Yeah. And then they're all doubled, so
Yeah.
I guess technically.
So it sounds like a lot of people, but yeah. So for initial
Paul's
tracks.
Paul's
Yeah.
the track.
And Paul, as a joke, I think he was doing this one. Now you gotta do it. Go ahead and do it. Go ahead and do it. As a joke, and then it was like, no, that's cool. So we kept all of that in there.
Yeah, I loved it.
Well, so much of what can make a song or part of a song different or interesting can just be improv, what you improvised in the studio, or you were experimenting and you did something that you weren't expecting to do, and like, oh wait, no, that totally fits, or that gets you over a hurdle.
Yeah.
Then we played The Fever, right? Which is, first of all, phenomenal vocal, courtesy of Heather.
Thank you.
I do love your voice. I really, really do. No one's paying me to say that, you know. Billy, can I cash that check you gave me earlier? Oh, not now? Sorry. I totally misread the situation. No, seriousness.
Don't tell me that I was good.
Oh,
She hears it all the time.
gosh darn it. I guess now I got to give you back this check. But no, in all seriousness, I'm curious about The Fever, right? Because that, to me, it's a very different song than like the Young Guys do. And that's like, what, 1-2 on the record?
Yeah.
So is that purposeful to kind of mix it up in that way? Like okay, song 1 is very different than song 2, or just to kind of have like, you know, it almost feels like the first song, like the Young Guys do, is kind of like your vehicle, Billy,
Yeah.
and then The Fever feels like your vehicle, Heather.
I just deliver it.
Billy
still wrote that song.
True, yes.
He wrote that
It's
song.
actually very seedy, and I wasn't sure she knew what it was about before she sang it, so.
Well, I think you have a clever way of putting in stuff that I'm like, I'm pretty sure that's dirty. I'm pretty sure that's, wait, okay.
There's a lot of
Does that mean what I think it means? I'm sorry, talking over you.
Yeah, no.
But so I'll just like, okay, I'm gonna let that go, and like, so there are things I'll probably have to talk to you about off air. But more importantly, you know, I'm just curious about like if you're purposely trying to mix things up as you sequence, or as you're working on the songs and trying to do different things.
So I almost feel like this record, like, you know, the first couple songs, like the first 4, we did it like a record to where the first side is almost like this kind of happier or kind of like more upbeat thing, and then the second side is kind of this darker thing, so you get this kind of light and dark contrast with this record. And I like that 1-2 punch because those are probably the 2 poppiest songs on the record, so I think that's why it made sense to make them like the A sides and have them kind of come back to back. But yeah, the Fever vocal is, I think it's super powerful. Like the end of it tears it up, and it's like a roller coaster, and that's kind of what the song is about. It's like that ride, like that kind of the thrill of the chase, you know, like when you've kind of been after someone for a while, and then there's that moment like right before it's about to happen. I think that's kind of what the Fever is, and that's what it's about.
Well, I've been listening to the record quite a bit, and I almost wonder if it's a relationship record. What I mean by that is that there seems to me to be a lot of lyrical asides that are about being with someone or not being with someone, or, you know, like you mentioned, the chase, but also things work out, that's great, things don't work out, that's okay too.
Well, that's a good segue into the next song. So, my one and only, probably the happiest song I've ever written, and it's like this, and it's definitely a relationship song, and I think all these kind of are in a way too. Like sometimes You Can was more of like a social commentary. I feel like there's less of that on this. But with my one and only, it's almost like a song of like, what if everything actually did work out right, and if everything, you know, if you managed to kind of keep things together, and it's like this super optimistic thing. And it's kind of weird seeing it. I almost feel like when we played it, even like maybe Paul made the comment like, this is kind of different from normal, because it was just so positive and so poppy. Something kind of magical happened in the studio. I don't know what it is about that song, but it just has this like sweetness to it, to where the song just keeps climbing, and it doesn't like ever drop. It's just a slow kind of build the whole way through, and it never really repeats either. So there's no chorus, or there's I guess verses.
Yeah. And then Heart Like Mine. Well, at least I'm interpreting, and I've not lived with these songs, but listening to them since you shared them, were kind enough to share them with us, it strikes me as having a vulnerability.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that's like the second part of the album is kind of about that too. And even with you know, Into the Deep, I mean, it deals with a lot of like depression, like social anxiety, all kinds of issues like that. I remember when I came up with that line, the first line of Into the Deep, like I woke up feeling tired after sleeping for weeks, looking for the edge of the light at the end of the dream. And like when I came up with that line, I actually called Matt, and I was like, listen to this line. He's like, whoa. I was like, yeah. I don't know where that came from, but I was kind of thinking about a friend of mine that had passed away. He got into drugs, and I think that kind of stuff like that kind of drags you down. I think that song is kind of about that, and it delves into that darker part of the second part of the album. I mean, Wonder and I is kind of about promiscuity and like the difficulty of maintaining like lasting and meaningful relationships. And then Heart Like Mine, I mean, touches
Yeah, it's a relationship song.
touches on that.
Well, we should probably give you guys a break, because I believe you brought guitars with you.
We did too.
And I would love to have you guys be able to play something live here in the studio, if that's all right. And it seems since you were tuning up your guitars and doing a little bit of getting ready that you're probably okay with this.
Yeah, it is a little impromptu. Like we didn't know that they had lifted the thing until fairly recently. So
Right. We
this is
just
on the
found
fly.
out days ago. Was it like a day ago?
Yeah.
Well, I think I messaged you right when they said, okay, you can have more than one person. Just don't bring in like 20 people. And I'm like, ah.
That's the rest of it.
They're all outside.
Shucks. But I'm going to play a song that I want to ask you a question about. But Beginning to Unfold, right, the title track of the previous record, almost strikes me as a song about like just kind of starting, you know, kind of getting your life or getting, you know, some kind of experience going, and not knowing exactly how things are gonna unfold. Or am I totally wrong?
It's actually dirty too.
Ah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we're definitely gonna have to talk off air then. 'Cause
Sorry, Art.
that brings. Here I am trying to be all good and chaste, and you're like, no.
It's actually it's a little rotten.
Well, it's not rotten. I mean, how many songs in rock and roll are a little dirty?
Yeah.
Okay, if I said almost all of them, I'm still thinking I'm probably pretty close to accurate. But this is Neo-American Pioneers beginning to unfold. Oh, it's dirty, is it really?
It's actually about a specific experience.
Oh, see,
Well, I don't want to ruin it for you.
I had a totally
I don't
different
ruin it
interpretation.
for you. It's cool.
Well, the beautiful thing about it is, you know, music can be interpreted.
Oh yeah, right,
So,
right. Oh
yeah.
yeah, there's no
Everyone
one.
can find the meaning.
He
of
is
it.
the songwriter
Yeah.
though, so if he says it's dirty, I'm gonna
But
believe
maybe it
it.
means something to someone else, and they don't
Now you're
have
gonna
to.
listen to it differently.
I know. I hear things all the time from musicians, and I will work up in my mind like a whole backstory. Like they were feeling this
Yeah,
way
yeah.
when they wrote it. And, yeah, I get wide-eyed, and I'll tell these theories to Tracy, and she's like, most people just write a song, Art. They're not trying to like open up a vein or something. And I'm like, well, but for me, this means X, Y, Z. And then you actually hear like an interview with the singer, like, yeah, we wrote that like in 10 minutes in the studio, and I'm like, fudge me. I thought this was so much more.
Well, I take a long time to write stuff. Like a lot of these things are pretty thought out, and sometimes things take years. Like
Oh, sure. Oh, I write in an academic context. I'm a very slow writer. I hate my stuff. But when I remember a journal year and a half ago said, we want to publish something and we love it as is, and I'm like, there must be something wrong with you. You can't publish this as is.
yeah, I kind of pine over every line sometimes, and
Well, then you got to live up to the sensitive artist ideal. Well, like talking to David sometimes, like one of my favorite new old-fashioned songs, right? Empty Storefronts, which I could listen to every day. That's not a lie. And if ever there's a crowd and David asks me like what I want to hear, well, what should we play, Art? Like, you know what I'm gonna say. You know what I'm gonna say, and I'm exactly gonna say that. I want to hear Empty Storefronts, or I want to hear indie movie scenes.
Oh, yeah.
Just the way that starts. Bam, we're late again. And then, that, just a great jump into it.
Yeah.
So if we play the two songs, like we need to retune for one of them, so it'd be good if we play.
Yeah, I can
Can
put
I
some
sit
stuff
by
in.
you so I can hear you?
Yeah. I'll actually probably sit around here just so that I'm not like.
Well, I'll sit.
banging in the head.
Okay, I'll sit like. Here's a bunch of. Are you playing with your phone?
No, what's up? I think about voice.
Yeah, because that makes.
So people are looking forward to Tech Talk.